Avengers Infinity War. This film is, as many have said before me and will continue to say, is the culmination of an entire decade of a cinematic universe. Back to the first Iron Man film when Tony Stark came out to the world that he was indeed Iron Man, and now a decade later the Mad Titan Thanos, who has been secretly pulling the strings behind the scenes for a little bit, is now on the move, hunting down all of the Infinity Stones, which have been slowly set up ever since the first Avenger, and we've seen them show up in a couple of movies before then. And now he wants to use all of the Infinity Stones and their combined power to wipe out half of all the life in the universe. And the only ones who are standing in his way are Earth's mightiest heroes, including the Avengers, as well as the Guardians of the Galaxy. I went through absolute hell waiting to see this movie because, for one, okay, I had two main reasons. One, the week that it actually came out, I had to focus on the wedding ceremony for me and Mallory, and then also I had to watch out in YouTube comment sections, Facebook, and pretty much any other place because a couple of days before the movie actually came out in wide release, there was a stupid fucking Forbes magazine article that detailed all the spoilers, and for some reason they were thinking, oh, because we warned them, you know, like, that'll be okay, but, you know, people go on there, trolls just look at the article, and then they go into comment sections and be like, this happened. But I had finally gotten to see Avengers Infinity War in the late afternoon on the Sunday after release at the Edwards Cinema in Fresno, which, by the way, lovely theater, just lovely, but there's no pre-assigned seating, which was really stupid, so we ended up sitting in the front. But the good thing is that they had a bar, and I ended up getting this really cool geeky tiki of Thanos. Look at this. It's so cool. I love this thing. And I was already having a great day up to that point because I was with some friends of myself and my wife, and I got to eat In-N-Out Burger for the first time, which I don't think is overhyped in the slightest. And just to put any worries at ease for those couple of people who still haven't seen the movie for some reason, this is my full opinion after seeing Avengers Infinity War 3 times in the theaters, and it is still it's still a spoiler-free one because if I had come on maybe a little bit earlier and done a spoiler review and I had said, yes, I theorized all of this and I was wrong about all this stuff, then that would make sense, but it's been a while and I don't know if my theories hold very much validity, even though quite a couple of the big ones actually did come true. But anyway, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started on the review, starting with my pro and con list. You guys know how I mentioned in my Black Panther review that I thought that Killmonger was the greatest MCU villain to ever come out up to that point? For me, he was unseated after only 2 months of being out because Thanos is an amazing villain, and I think the reason why is because, like a good villain, he is truly terrifying, and I always feel like the most terrifying villains are those who actually see themselves as more of a hero, which Thanos does. He really does. And he truly believes that he is saving pretty much everybody by wiping out half of all life in the entire universe. They also show why he is so powerful, just how powerful he is even at his weakest, how smart he is. But the filmmakers, as well as Josh Brolin, who gives a great performance as the Mad Titan, give him so much more depth than I was really expecting to see. There were actually some moments in the movie where, like Killmonger, I really started to sympathize with Thanos because he's somewhat relatable in a way, whether it's in his ideology or how he handles situations on an emotional level. And the Russo brothers had actually once said that Thanos was going to be the main character of the film, and I kind of shrugged it off like, yeah, right, you're not going to do that. Marvel has always said, you know, the villains aren't that important. They're just a plot device to propel the hero forward on their hero's journey. But yeah, I was completely wrong. Thanos gets the majority of screen time compared to every other character in this movie. So really, when you look at it a certain way, he is the protagonist. This opinion is probably going to irk a few of you, but I do actually believe that an argument could be made that Thanos is the greatest comic book villain ever made for a movie. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Heath Ledger's Joker, not at all. I'm just stating my opinion, which is that Thanos is a better character from a writing standpoint. Ledger's performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight is still iconic and still the greatest performance of a comic book villain in a movie, without a doubt. But, like I said, Thanos is a better character. Throughout the film, as suggested in the trailers, we get a lot of interactions with those heroes that many of us perhaps never thought we would see. You know, like Thor and the Guardians, for example, Stark and Star-Lord. You know, those kind of one-on-one interactions. And the film really takes advantage of all of these characters that we've come to know and love over the past few years. You know, they take advantage of them actually being in the same movie and puts together these unique combinations that bring about that signature wit and humor that the MCU is very well known for. And, you know, we expect for them to have by this point, along with some of the more deep and serious moments that I've seen in an MCU movie. And it's really not just simple conversations like the one between Peter Parker and Doctor Strange, like that one in the trailer, which, by the way, actually works a lot better when you have a little bit more context. One thing that is hard for a film to do, in my case, is really fully surprise me, especially when I've analyzed and repeatedly consumed every trailer like I did for Infinity War, but somehow I had almost no idea what exactly was going to go down in this movie. Sure, I had a few theories as to what could possibly happen, which some of my major ones did end up coming true, but quite a few of mine didn't, and I feel like that's gonna... I feel like that was true for the majority of people, really, especially when it comes to... I almost spoiled something, never mind. There were many moments throughout the film where my mouth is just hanging, where I'm like, oh my god, did they really just do that? Or I would actually look at it like, oh my god, they actually did it. And with many of those surprises, I was left either cheering my ass off, or, you know, it would be a moment where I would be instilled with such powerful emotion that I would really cry, whether it was happy, sad, or just in anger. And I haven't really cried that many happy, sad, and angry tears since, I don't know. It's been a long time, I'll tell you that, and it will probably be a while before I am at that level again in a movie theater. And also, I do have to say one thing, and it is a minor spoiler, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the video perspective to black and white. So anybody who has not seen the movie, go ahead, mute your video on whatever you're watching this on, and then when I turn it back to color, you know, it will be spoiler-free again, so you've been warned. Okay, I know that many of those who died are definitely coming back because of film contracts and confirmed sequels of their standalone films, but seriously, we were all expecting the original original characters to die, you know, like Steve Rogers, Tony Stark, you know, all those people, at least a few of the original Avengers. So when Infinity War subverts your expectations like that by killing off people like Black Panther, who literally just had a standalone movie, which was one of the most successful movies of all time. I think it even surpassed Captain America Civil War by this point. You know, killing off people like him, Doctor Strange, the majority of the Guardians, sorry Rocket, and even Peter Parker. Just, God, my heart still hurts from that scene. I don't know about you guys, but it really affected me, and it really helped that everyone gave it their all in their final moments, especially Tom Holland. Anyway, that was just something that I had to, you know, just talk about. Now that the spoiler talk is out of the way, as you guys no doubt remember, when it was announced that the Russo brothers would be coming back to direct another movie, and it would be Avengers Infinity War, you know, the initial report going around was that it was going to be called, it was 2 films, and it was going to be titled Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2. Well, now, we already know it's not called Part 1 and Part 2, but, you know, they filmed both films back to back, so a lot of people have speculated that because of these original titles, Infinity War would actually feel like half of a whole movie, and I'm happy to say that for me, it really didn't. It didn't at all. Infinity War feels like this fully complete and fully fleshed out film with a beginning, middle, and end. And even though it is part of a cinematic universe, and obviously a sequel is on the way literally under a year from now, in its own right, it is still a self-contained film. The action sequences are among the greatest that we've ever seen in a comic book movie, though I wouldn't put any of them above that airport sequence in Captain America Civil War, but they're definitely at least worthy of being in the same discussion. At least a few of them definitely in the top 10. Last pro, and it's pretty small, but I believe important. With so many iconic characters sharing the scene all at once, I was actually worried that there would be a few that were left in the background where we really wouldn't get even one moment, or we wouldn't see them get at least one moment to shine. But every single one of them has at least one. Sure, some get much more, but at least everybody had a chance to stand out at least once, and I really enjoyed that, and that must have been extremely difficult, and every character in the film is great. There's no large amount or hardly even a small amount of character development for the heroes, save a couple, but I mean, that's forgivable because we've had years to get to know most of them, and at least one film for all of them. And if this was just a one-off film, I would say that that's a con, but it really isn't a con because, you know, it's a little bit hard with this kind of movie to honestly critique. And I definitely give all the props to the screenwriters and the Russo brothers for somehow finding a way to give everybody a standout moment. All of this being said, though, because of the fact that, you know, we don't really, they're not able to flesh out any characters more other than Thanos, and the fact that there's such a large amount of characters, that actually goes into my first con. Are there too many characters in this movie? Will this large amount of characters weigh the film down a bit? In my opinion, yes. I didn't feel it as much the first time that I watched this movie, which the feeling was still there. I just couldn't really pick out what exactly was irking me about the film because it was just a tiny, it was like a little tiny nagging thing that was in my ear, wouldn't go away, but I couldn't, it wasn't loud enough for me to understand really what it was saying, that kind of thing. And after 3 times of watching this movie in the theaters, I can say without a doubt, this movie for me has way too much going on all at once. And I'm not simply talking about too much happening in one scene alone. No. I'm talking about multiple things happening in different areas at the exact same time, so you have to cut back and forth between different groups of people. Everything that was happening was great. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying anything was bad, because I really enjoyed this movie. But it was an overabundance of,
oh, let's check over here. Okay, now here, now back to here, and now let's go back over there.
Okay, we're back here again. Does the overall film lose its momentum from this? No, not really. It made me wish that there were a couple of moments where I could catch my breath and just, you know, rest my mind. But honestly, the directors and the screenwriters still, I believe, found the best possible way to balance everything to where the film really doesn't suffer for it, and that's very commendable. As my last con, I wanted to wait until the end to talk about them because I did actually have a bit to complain about in this part. But one thing that I was worried about with Avengers Infinity War was how the film would handle the Black Order, or as they're referred to in the film, the Children of Thanos. And that's Black Dwarf, Corvus Glaive, Proxima Midnight, and my favorite from the comics, Ebony Maw. Sadly, they didn't have Supergiant, but honestly, as I said, there was already an overabundance of characters in this movie, so leaving out one character really isn't bad. I felt that the Children of Thanos were highly underused and underdeveloped in this movie. They were, for the most part, expendable soldiers that just so happen to have names. I mean, the one that came the closest to actually being a more developed character was Ebony Maw, who was given a very chilling voice by Tom Von Lawler, I believe his name is. However, and I will admit that I am limited by my own knowledge of comics, but from what I've read, I've never seen Ebony Maw have powers, and I don't consider this a spoiler, so I'm not going to put the black and white filter on the camera perspective, but I still wanted to put the warning out there that this may be considered a little bit of a spoiler. But, okay, in the film, Ebony Maw has telekinetic powers. He has actual powers. The version that I remember in the comics didn't seem to have any abilities not tied to technology that could also be seen as supernatural. However, what made him stand out to me, one of the reasons why I love the character of Ebony Maw, is the fact that he had a super genius intellect, and he was a very persuasive presence. So persuasive that he turned Doctor Strange into a double agent for the Black Order and Thanos in the comics. And we don't see anything close to that in Infinity War, and I was really sad because they showed that tease where he was torturing Doctor Strange in the trailers, and you guys know me, if it's in the trailer, it's not really a spoiler. But yeah, we don't see anything like what I saw in the comics in the movie. We just see a very passionate speaker who can also control objects with his mind. But anyway, that's all I have to say on the matter. So there you have it, folks. This is my overall opinion of Avengers Infinity War. Despite an overabundance of main characters, the feeling of too much going on all at once, and a lackluster group of henchmen who should have really been held to a higher standard, this movie is amazing. I mean, I can't even think of a better word for it. Actually, hold on. I got a thesaurus app. Give me a second. Actually, you know what? I hope I didn't break my phone. Anyway, fuck it. This is a Marvel movie, so I can say a stupid pun every once in a while. Avengers Infinity War is simply and absolutely marvelous. Okay, that probably wasn't as punny or as clever as I thought it was. This is a movie with excitement, depth, darkness, despair, levity, humor, great action, and my absolute favorite comic book movie villain ever. I'm not sure where exactly I would rank this in my list of, like, best MCU films, but it's at least in the top 5, and that's an amazing accomplishment because I know that the other films directed by the Russo brothers, which were Captain America Civil War and Captain America Winter Soldier, both of them are in my top 3 MCU films. And this really shows just how great the Russos are at directing, and I'm absolutely dreading the wait until the next film, which is surely to be a spectacle to behold. If you somehow have not seen Infinity War yet, you need to fix yourself right now and just fucking go see it. Sorry about that. I feel like I get a little violent when I'm passionate, so yeah, just ignore that random outburst, and also I don't know why I said fuck in that moment. And that's where I will end this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm really glad to be back doing this. If you enjoyed the video, please do not hesitate to hit that like button, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button to keep up with everything going on this channel. And actually, yeah, all that's left to say is once again, thanks for watching, and farewell until the next video.